one's lighting today?
You're lighting today.
Oh, that's nice. You're lighting today.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, stop flirting with them.
Have you watched The Circle ever?
No, I haven't.
So it's basically like you're on social media. You have to create like this whole like persona. Either like you're either gonna be yourself or you're gonna depict another person, right? So you're either gonna be a catfish or yourself. And in that, the way they talk, like, oh my god, I can't believe like this person is flirting with me right now. I'm like, sorry. So, anyways, when you said that, it just made me think of that because they use it to their advantage of like making friends, you know?
No, fair enough.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yikes. Selling her soul. Hi guys, my name is Trad.
And my name's Rita, and this is
Almost There?
Question mark. We got it after 25 years.
My hands are clammy. Did you feel it?
No.
Oh, okay, cool. You know, I was really scared of that when I was like young. I was so scared of like people touching my hands, and like when I got a boyfriend or something, like, oh my god, I'm not gonna be able to hold hands with them because they're so clammy all the time.
It was a genuine fear.
It was a concern, but it was fine. Yeah. So if you have clammy hands, you'll be fine too. Ting. Let's get into the topic.
The topic for today is
yeah.
So we're going to talk about like first generation immigrant kids, like the, you know, struggles of fitting in or being Canadian or, you know, too Canadian, and that also being an issue. But more so just like the fun stuff, you know, it's more so about like growing up and like knowing that we have had like different experiences where we've like learned that it's very different. I was actually talking to someone recently, and this is why I was thinking about it. So the work that I do, there's different stuff that we work on, but it's on working on making a more inclusive society, whatever. Okay.
Love it.
So what we were talking about was, you know, she was just saying there are so many kids that she knows, like her friends' kids and stuff, who basically talk about how they don't feel Canadian enough and they don't know how to like fit in. And these are all like, you know, and they don't know like how to be normal and what is normal and all of that, right? So it just like kind of triggered that in me where I thought like it would be cool to talk about it. So yeah. Do you have any experiences of like when you were trying to fit in, or I mean we've talked about it before, like about fitting in, but more so like what do you think, like what stands out to you as
I remember I've told this story before, and I'm not gonna go into it in terms of like I would code switch like crazy in like England and stuff, where I would speak to my mom in like the regular Indian, the Bai kind of accent, and then turn to her friend who's sitting on the other side and speak to her in the English accent. Like it was very normal. But the one word I remember that used to traumatize me all the time, and I don't think I've talked about it in a video like recently or anything, was the word yawn. So I would be so scared of saying it because the first time I was thinking about the word yawn, I couldn't figure out how to say it in the English accent. So I would like say everything, the normal sentence, like I'd be like, because when I yawn, I tear up. So I think what probably happened in school is someone was like, "Why are you crying?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm not. Like I just yawned." Or something, and they were like, "What?" And I said everything in the English accent except the word yawn because nobody usually says that word, so I couldn't figure out like how to actually say it. And it was just, I have a very specific memory. Like after that day, every time I'd try to say the word, I just go be like yawn. Like I never said that word until I probably in England said that word that one time and never said it again because I just didn't think it was a real word, or did they even understand what word I was trying to say. It was really funny. And then like still I have like accent stuff, like the car brand I can't say properly.
Volkswagen.
I can't say that properly. And like in sentences my V's and W's get mixed up all the time. Yeah. Those are like my biggest like I will still suffer with it. But now it's funny. I laugh about it. But when I was a kid, I was like when you're younger,
like everything just seems like so much bigger than what it actually is.
Like more amplified,
Yeah, so yeah, for sure. I think like with accents and stuff, that's just
a given. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like even for kids that are just, you know, that stay here or have lived here their whole lives or in Canada or abroad their whole lives, like when you go to like, you know, as an Indian or as an immigrant, you go to like these cultural events and
Yeah.
you're like, a lot of them go to like classes like on Saturdays and Sundays where like the kids will just go for like the cultural, like they learn the language or they learn more about their culture and stuff like that. And so I think just like when they go to those things, like, you know, you kind of get back into it where you're just like you're learning more about your culture, but then there's this Canadian culture that you're also like learning.
Yeah.
A lot of kids don't even learn English like until they go to school. So this is like
In terms of what? Sorry. Like if they are
they don't
first new
speak
here. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
no,
Yeah.
like if they've been here,
Yeah.
but the parents only want to talk in their
Oh,
language.
fair. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not even just for like people that have come from abroad. I think a lot of times it's just like kids that have like grown up in environments where like the parents want to just like talk in their language. You know, and then them going into the real world and they're like, what the hell? I don't know how to speak this language.
Yeah.
But when you're a kid, it happens faster. But like, I'm sure there's so many of those experiences that they have as well.
On the flip side of that too, I remember when I first came to Canada, it was like opposite but the same in the sense of ESL. Do you remember ESL?
Yeah.
It was pushed on everybody who came into Canada from like another country as if like we didn't know how to speak English or like that kind of stuff. And it was so wild to me. I was like, my teacher, the amount of time she was like, are you sure? Like, are you? I'm like, listen, I know how to speak English and I know how to like hold a conversation. And it's just different because you don't fully understand my accent. And then it took me like a month and I was fine, like, and it wasn't an issue. But it was so funny how like all my friends who had come from the similar situation, everyone had the same experience in the sense of like everybody knew English, they didn't struggle with it, nor did their marks show that they were struggling with it. But this first assumption for them was you need like extra support or you need something, and everyone's like, no, like we're fine, like we're good. And I'm not saying that everybody's having that experience, because I'm sure there are people like in that kind of situation that you were mentioning that they do need that extra support. But I was like, girl, I said no about 5 times, I'm okay. Like, you know?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting experience having that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
On another note, do you remember, like, did you ever have to take like lunches from home?
Yeah.
And like they were Indian?
So, you know,
did you do
what's
that
so
or
wild? No? I don't think I would tell my parents not to like give me stuff. I think
they would just not give you stuff?
Yeah, like my mom, like in England and stuff, it started from England. Like they would give me like sandwiches and stuff. My parents were good with that. They would give me like obviously they'd give me tuna sandwiches sometimes that I didn't love. But that's the thing. I love the taste of it, but there was a smell that I didn't love. That kind of stuff. But yeah, I was a sandwich girl. Like I don't think there were once in a while that my parents would give me like chapati or something, I think, but I don't have like a memory of like that. I do remember one of my friends in middle school, she was like Asian, and she would have like a whole array of just sticky rice, seaweed, like all the snacks, soups, this, that, and like she would just sit down for lunch and just and like just pop them all on the table. It was a dream. And I would just stare at her with my sandwich, just watching her. But like I will say, like people did, I think, like have something be like, oh, interesting, like I can smell her food or whatever it was. But she didn't give 2 shits. She was living her best life. I know. But why? Did your parents make you take
100%?
Really?
100%.
I'm trying to think.
Bro, they gave me they gave me fucking like dosa. Okay?
No way.
And it gets soggy. So it's
to school?
Gross. Yeah. And like this was like when we were in Dubai, but also
in Dubai. Okay.
Because I was and like when I came to Canada, I was like already in grade 8, right?
Yeah.
So like I basically started having like my mom would give us like fucking something dosa, for example, with like jam or something.
But also, what I don't understand is you have to make dosa in the morning and like cook it.
No, listen, she put a lot of time and effort. Okay, I appreciate that now. Didn't appreciate it then.
Well, obviously,
but also it would get soggy.
But that's what I don't understand.
And bread
with
would
them.
get soggy with like Wouldn't yours?
Oh, my parents would give me batata bhaji in the
In the
bread.
bread?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
potato sandwich.
I still thought that was nice.
That was delicious.
Yeah. But like
But it
there
did
was
feel weird a little sometimes. It'd be like I have like a whole like
yeah.
what is that?
I'd feel so weird like opening my lunch in front of people because then afterwards like I didn't get too much of I don't remember exactly what they were, but like it would be like rice and like some sort of like
Really?
curry or something.
Curries
So
too?
like yeah. But I don't know if that was in high school or if I just took that like when I started like going to work.
So that was you. Why you blame that on your
No, I
parents?
think they gave it to me.
That was you being lazy that you didn't want to make
I
your
didn't
own
wanna make
food.
So I just take my whatever's there at home.
And then you
in the
blame
fridge.
them and
Yeah.
you're like,
They
damn
ruined
it.
my childhood. Yeah, no, but there were like there was so much stuff that I just like would not like to eat at all because it would be too soggy or it would just be so like out there and like the smell of Indian curries in general or Indian food. Let's say it's not even the curries. Let's say it's the bhaji. Like it's like something like bhaji. Like I would still eat it because I would never dream of wasting that. Okay, that's just rude. But like, I would have it, but I'd like want to finish it very quickly. But you know how slow of an eater I was. Now I'm much
insanely
better.
slow. Yeah.
But I used to be very slow. So
Yeah.
imagine I'm this girl who's trying to finish her food before like people come around
Yeah.
because they can smell it, And a lot of times like my friends would like like they would buy food and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and like we weren't in that place to like be buying lunch. That was
Yeah.
like a treat that you would have that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think one of my friends who's still my best friend, like she used to like give me like poutines.
Aww.
Yeah. Not that I didn't have lunch.
I
had
know.
lunch.
No, but
I just wouldn't want to bring out certain ones, and like she would just like we'd even either like share it or whatever, but like it was just like
Sweet.
yeah, it was really cute. But yeah, like I think at the end of the day now it's much more celebrated that like you would
Yeah.
be more open to different cultures and like imagine someone bringing like fucking sushi or something,
Yeah.
and that's what's made at home for them.
That's crazy.
What a wild life.
No, but so she used to have like she'd have her like chopsticks and stuff or her fork or whatever, and she'd put the rice and the seaweed and like make it a thing and eat it. Like it was unreal. She was so good.
Like I said, my friends had like money and not money. I didn't even say that. I think I just said my friends bought lunch. My friends were rich, just fun.
I can't.
Kids around me
Yeah.
had money, like monthly allowances and stuff
yeah.
like that.
Oh, we didn't have allowances. Did you,
You
have
didn't,
allowance?
Yeah, no, me neither. And I
Just
didn't know
whenever
how
you
to
needed
ask.
money,
Yeah,
you just got
yeah.
money.
Yeah, and like I'd feel weird about asking. So
Yeah.
like, I mean that has continued now into
Yeah,
adulthood.
facts.
But like, I think like when I was a kid, like a lot of people got like monthly allowances or weekly allowances or whatever it was. And it's not that my parents didn't take care of me. It's not.
To make that clear.
good.
They're watching right now and they're like calling you on the phone already. But like, money! Like,
This
what?
is a house conversation, not a podcast conversation. But like, like we were taken care of. But like in comparison, I think as a kid, you compare yourself to other kids and you think, well, that person can spend their money and they can like, buy lunch or they can do other things. And I think like that was always like, not always, but it was something I would always compare myself to. But also like understanding that my situation or my family situation was very different compared to other people's, was something that was instilled in me from like a younger age. So I think we were much more aware of those things, whereas a lot of people, like in hindsight, if I think about it now, like a lot of people that might have had the money, that doesn't necessarily mean that their family was doing really well or anything. It just meant that like they never spoke about, or they didn't even know what the financial situations were maybe like at home and stuff.
It also is like, I feel like a part of the culture too, right? Like where like like if they were brought up with allowances or like that was a thing in schools and stuff,
Yeah.
like everyone was talking about it, the parents probably started giving them their kids allowances, and then that was something that they got used to, and that's just something that they did. We just didn't have that, like we didn't have that. Like that wasn't some, like I didn't get a monthly, weekly, whatever. I didn't have chores either. It was just you do things around the house.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like I'm going to give you a list of things to do and like
Yeah.
you go do them. It was just you do things around the house. You don't get paid for it or anything. That's not how it works. And then
That's
the other
wild.
thing, yeah. The other thing is grounding. I also didn't have grounding. Like it wasn't like if I got in trouble, I would like get sent to my, like that wasn't a thing. It
Sent
wasn't
to the room. That's like a luxury. I'd be like, oh,
Let
yes, let me
room.
go to my room.
Yeah. No, I didn't get grounded. I didn't get like I didn't know what grounding was.
Yeah, I knew from other people.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
eventually learned what it was,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like it just wasn't a thing in my house. Like you're grounded. You get your fucking whatever taken away for 4 days. Like I didn't have any of that.
Yeah.
But again, that might depend on like
That's just maybe parenting styles too.
yeah.
But I think it's a very Canadian, or like not Canadian, but I think it's just like Western culture of
Yeah.
like doing, that's how they like punish and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
What were your punishments like? Did you have punishments?
I just got scolded at. Like I didn't get like if I did something, like they would just scold me. But there wasn't like I don't think like anything was taken away or I had to do something more or less. I don't think I also didn't do many bad things.
Such a nice child.
I know. What can I say, Angel?
Yeah, so some of the punishments when I was younger was the scolding, and then a little when it was required by them. So I think a lot of the punishments that I had at the time, it was more so like it didn't actually teach me a lesson. It was more so it just built more fear of doing something because I knew that they would get pissed, but not really understanding what the consequences of it is to like society or to people around me.
And I think that's what a lot of everybody's experience is too. Like not everybody's, but I think that's a lot of what the immigrant kids experience is. And I know that when I see, have you seen this guy? It's this guy with glasses. I can't remember his name. He does TikToks, but he started a podcast with his mom talking about like breaking generational
Waji.
Yeah, I don't know.
Waji.
Glasses, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think he said the same thing. He's just like, I was so scared of you. Like, I just didn't want, like, everything I did was so that, like, in fear of you and, like, what you did and how you disciplined me as I grew up or whatever it is. And I think that's the experience of a lot of people. It's just, there was never, like, for, like, a lot of people say there was never, like, an explanation for why not to do something or why was something a certain way. It was a lot of just because I said so.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's not even about like, why is this right? Why is this wrong?
Right.
It's more so do it because I'm telling you to do it and I'm your parent and you should respect me enough to do it.
Yeah.
Not even just respect me though, like fear me as well.
Yeah.
To then do it, which was not all bad. Like
No,
it was a lot of times it was
say.
just because they are just, that's the only way that they knew how to like discipline the kid. And I mean, you turn out to be like a decent person when you do that stuff. But it also creates a barrier, I think, between parents and kids when you continue doing that. Because I think it like for me, for example, I was too scared to tell them about actual things that I was doing, even if it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Just like, like lying for no reason. Like I'd say that I'm going to like my friend's house and I'm just going to the movies with my friends. I'm still going with just my friends.
Yeah.
But just like, coming up with those kind of things, because in that moment it was more important for me that I would not get yelled at. So I'd just say that I'll go do this,
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
like that.
I get that. And I think, but over time, like since we've moved and stuff, I feel like your parents have become so like not what they were before, right? Like it's
100%,
it's
yeah.
changed a lot. And I feel like that
It's
adds
because
to
of
it too.
communication,
Yeah.
right? Like I think as you grow up, you understand or realize that like your parents also had only one life to figure all of it out, right? And they've been parents only once in their lives. So it's more so just understanding it from that perspective rather than holding it against them. I think a lot of people, when they hold it against their parents, that's when it becomes like such a big conflict that you can never imagine ever speaking to them again.
Yeah.
Or like speaking to them in an open manner again. So I think that's what it was like for me. Like I don't think I told my parents. I mean, even with like, think about like with like relationships and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, were we comfortable enough to tell them like before when we were younger?
Absolutely not.
Am I gonna go tell them when I'm like friggin' like even 18, 19? Like I still would not, because like, what are they gonna say?
Also, there was nothing serious at that time, so there wouldn't be like, it would just be like, why am I gonna have this whole conversation for something that's nothing?
Whereas Canadian, the kids that have been here for a long time, maybe not immigrant ones, but like, Canadian kids, like they like tell their parents about all their relationships.
Or it goes the other way, I think, where it's like they don't say anything because it doesn't mean anything. Like they're not gonna get in trouble if they were to find out. Like,
but I saw a lot of them wouldn't ever get in trouble over that. Like it was just a conversation and be like, Mike is coming over, so
no, that's what I mean. Like they're not gonna. But what I mean by that is like they're not gonna like go to their parents and be like, I'm in a relationship or I have a boyfriend. It's like, it's just normal. Like a boy starts coming over or a girl starts coming or something. Like it's not a conversation that needs to be had. Or if they were outside at the mall and their parents saw them, it's not like, oh, you're hiding from me. It's not like they would get in trouble for being with a boy. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's what I like. It's not a conversation. It's not a huge thing that you're in a relationship.
Right.
Whereas it's different for us.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the first time I brought like a boyfriend home, and he was just a friend, like that was such a weird experience for me, but it wasn't weird.
So he's actually a boyfriend.
But that was like such a weird experience for me.
Yeah.
But that happened when I was like 26.
Yeah. Did you feel like you had to like prepare them? Like you had to like mentally like say it 4 times? Like,
I think at that point, not too much. Just because
26.
like, I think enough. I was... They were like, is she okay? Like, does she have other friends? I think maybe that's what they were thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I think it was just like such a weird thing. And why do you think it's weird?
What? Like,
why do you think it's weird to like, talk about having like relationships, talk about like, because if you think about it, from when we're young, all people talk about around us in the Indian community is like, end goal marriage.
Yeah, like go to school, go to university, get married, and then that's it. I think why it was weird is because the marriage part was usually already set as it was going to become an arranged marriage, right? So then you going out of your way and like having a boyfriend or thinking about a relationship or liking a boy is like steering off of the path of what was supposed to be. First, if I'm gonna like trouble the water, or if I'm gonna like ruffle some feathers, why would I do it for a boy that's not important enough, or like the relationship is not stable enough for me to ruffle feathers? Like why would I get to that point, right? So then you like hold it, you don't talk about it, or you don't even act on anything, and then when time comes you're like, I'll only talk about it if it's 100% official. And sometimes that can be like 10 years later, and then 10 years later people are like, well, why didn't you tell me about your relationship? I feel betrayed. And that's a whole nother thing, right? But I think the whole like it starts from that, where it's like we've already in our family up until this point everyone's gotten arranged marriages. At least like 95% people have been been married through arranged marriages. So it's like we already thought that was going to be our fate, so anything off of that is like you're kind of rebelling out of that.
Did you think that was your fate though?
I did. I thought like it wasn't. I thought
you're
that's
such
what,
a love person though.
Yeah, but I thought that's what was gonna happen. I also thought I was gonna die alone.
Yeah, that's true.
So it was like,
I remember Shrad's like, we were in the car and it was the 3 of us, and you're like, guys, I think I'm not gonna find anyone.
I did.
And I just like, also I think your confidence was like really low. at that time.
Yeah.
So I think at that time you really believed it wasn't going to
Yeah.
happen. But on the contrary, you also had situations in your head that you
Yeah.
thought of
Yeah.
that, like, if it was the ideal love case, you
Yeah.
would have she had all these scenarios.
Did I?
Yeah.
That does
so,
sound like me. I don't remember, but it does sound
yeah,
like
so
me.
that's why when you said, like, fate was, like, or what you thought it would
Yeah.
happen was, like, arranged marriage, like...
Well, because I always thought, like, I believed in love, so I thought, like, because my parents, like, are arranged marriage, but they're so in love with each other, and I know that, right? So I was like, worst comes to worst, I will have an arranged marriage, and it's going to be a great one. Like, that would be my plan B. So that was something I was going to do, but it was something where I'm like, that every time, like, I talked to our grandma, I talked to this, like, I would talk to people, be like, when can we start looking? Like, when can we, you know, that was a conversation. So it was like anything out of that where I, like, if I liked somebody or whatever, it was just not a conversation that I was like, I'm going to have that conversation when it's worth it to have that conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what's such a funny thing? They
What?
talk about marriage from when we're young, right?
Yeah,
but
so
they don't
young.
expect us to have relationships. But just jump to marriage, bro. Like,
No.
you're supposed to just meet
Yeah.
someone, and now, okay, because arranged marriage is, you know,
It's
much
different.
more
Yeah.
modern. So they're like, oh, you guys can date for like 6 months.
But that wasn't the case when we were like 10.
Yeah.
Like, when we were 10,
I didn't listen to anything when
No,
I was
I
that
did.
age.
when we were 10, they were like, when can we start looking for people? Like, I don't think they thought about dating either when we were 10.
No.
Yeah.
Dating was never in our dictionary. Like, it wasn't like at home we would never speak about it.
No.
You're just expected to get married. So you
Yeah.
you graduate from university and then you, like, go into marriage.
Yeah, that's the other thing, and comparatively, at least from what I've experienced, like, Canadians, it's like that marriage is not like an end goal all the time.
Yeah.
It's just, if it happens, it's something that we want, obviously. Like, people want to get married, they want to have kids, all that kind of stuff, but it wasn't something that, like, I've seen where it's just like they're like it, like, their whole family's in on it, and like, it's just like, if you don't find it by this year, let's lock it in with a man. Like, let's, you know, put you in, get you a bio data. Yeah, it's pretty insane. We need to talk about the bio data
I had
thing.
one, eh?
I know.
I think this needs to be a continuing series.
Yeah.
This might not be something where we cover everything now. But, you know, we can always continue this later. I think we could just have that as a thing that we'll continue later.
Like, comment, subscribe if you want to hear about Amrita's bio data and what was on it.
I wouldn't. Okay.
Obviously, you wouldn't share it. Like, you wouldn't.
No,
be like,
I don't even know what it looks like.
Really?
Yeah, but I know the deets.
I wonder if your dad has, like, a copy.
Oh my god, I should try to get it.
You should, because I'm sure he does.
Yeah, there's also so much more. I mean, with like bio data is one thing, but even talking about, like, just so many things are different. Like, we talk, like, you know, even if you think about, like, things like makeup or, like, you know, like, taking care of yourself compared to, like, our parents or like, you know, those kind of things, it's all so different compared to, like, their lives. And first generations usually have to go through some stuff, you know, to kind of break those
generational stigmas.
Wow.
As well as traditions, behaviors. That was the word I was looking for from the beginning. I think behaviors is a big one. Just like what you're like ingrained with as you grow. And I think that's low key some of the things that we've been, like, the chips that we have on our shoulder a little bit about money and just like people taking care of us and all that kind of stuff. I think it comes from our parents and how, like, for them it was just always like, we got to be so independent and, like, you got to take care of yourself and nobody needs to take care of you, and even though you're a girl, like, you got to stand on your feet, like, you got to be the one, like, taking care and championing for yourself. And I think, like, sometimes we take it a little too far.
That's why we do the swingy swings all the time. We go, I take care of myself. No, someone else can do it too. Oh,
but I don't want them to. That's too much. I don't like that. No, truly.
So we'll continue on this, but we appreciate you guys being here on this journey with us. And like, comment, and subscribe. Comment, let us know what else you'd like us to talk about. Are there any other first generation
traumas. Tell us what you hated about your life.
Yeah.
No, don't please. Tell us what you loved about your life. That'd be fun.
No, tell us what you hate too.
I don't know if I want to see that in the comments.
Why?
Because, I don't know. I don't want it to be like a trauma dump.
First of all, we'll see who comments. I think before we assume people are gonna put so much.
Truly.
Yeah.
You got it. Also, follow us on Instagram at ALMST there. And that's all. Thank you for watching.
Appreciate you.